Ready? Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order tonight for May 18th. And first, I'd like to start with a roll call. When I say your name, please just say here. Kim?
Here.
Ken?
Here.
Dennis?
Here.
Angie?
Sorry.
I
Here.
got you. And Jill?
Here.
Neil?
Present.
And Dave, I am here also. Okay, I want to read an opening statement as a general process for our remote school board meetings. Due to the current federal and state emergency declarations, the Minnesota directive to residents to stay at home, and guidance about limiting person-to-person contact due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting of the Albert Lea School Board is being conducted in accordance with Minnesota statutes 13D.021, meetings by telephone or other electronic means. Persons may monitor this meeting from remote location via video link supplied by the district. School board members are reminded to mute their microphones or phone when they are not speaking. School board members wishing to speak should raise their hand, then wait to be recognized by the chair. The chair will determine the order in which school board members wishing to speak will be recognized. When recognized, the school board member should unmute their microphone or phone, speak, and then mute their device. All votes will be conducted via roll call. Each school board member shall wait until their name is called before voting. Okay, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it
one
stands,
nation, under God,
one nation,
with
under
liberty
God,
and justice for all.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, time for our open forum. Is there anyone wishing to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 5, celebrating our successes. Albert Lea Community Education Targeting Outdoor Engagement Grant, Mr. Chris Chalmers.
Thank you very much for having me here tonight. Community Ed is happy to announce that we've received a Minnesota DNR outreach grant, and almost worth $24,000. The DNR received over 200 applications during this process, and they were able to fund 37 projects. So we feel honored to have been selected for our work. We call our project Targeting Outdoor Engagement because the main focus of this project was to work with targeted services. And in meeting with Johanna Thomas, we were wondering, how can Community Ed help targeted services? And we came up with closing the achievement gap begins with closing the experience gap. So what we tried to do is through Community Ed with our Boathouse, Rock Gym, experiential activities, is to create experiences for students to overcome challenges. Many of them have never been on the water or been on top of a rock wall. Develop that confidence, empower themselves, then apply that to their learning. So if we help them overcome, try new experiences, we think that will help close the achievement gap. So a main part of the grant is to work with our targeted services, but there are also opportunities in the grant for all K-12 students in the Albert Lea School District for free opportunities at the Rock Gym and Boathouse. The original plan was to do it this spring and summer, but with so much uncertainty and we were starting to miss some deadlines, we were able to extend our grant funds through June 30th of 2021. So now our plan is to execute this grant fully next spring and summer with our targeted services. While unfortunate we can't do it now, we're fortunate that we will still have this $24,000 and we'll have great programming for next spring and summer. So thank you for support of community education and the work we're doing for lifelong learning in our community. If you have any questions, I could take those.
Does anyone have any questions for Chris?
I just want to say congratulations. I'll raise my hand.
You got it, Ken. Go for it.
Congratulations on getting the funds, and look forward to having the kids have that experience that they've never had. So great job.
Thanks.
Jill, go ahead.
Thank you. And you might have said this, Chris, I might have missed it, but how will the students be identified who can participate, and how will they be notified? I'm assuming we'll maybe be in classes by then.
Targeted services students are identified by their teachers in elementary and middle school, and they could be English language learners, they could be a variety of reasons how they get into our targeted services, but in many ways they're at-risk students, and we're trying to help them to close that achievement gap.
Thank you. I believe experiences are just as educational as a lot of the academic opportunities we give our kids. So this is an exciting opportunity to have.
Thank you.
Does anything in this grant, can it go toward buying equipment, or is it all for usage type of grant?
This grant, we have transportation dollars, so wherever they're holding targeted services next summer, we'll be able to bus the students to the boathouse in Brookside. We have money in there for T-shirts, so they become sort of a passport. So every targeted service student would get a T-shirt, plus with many students from the Elberly School District, and they'll be able to utilize the boathouse and rock gym free every time they wear that T-shirt on special days. There will be some equipment that we need to keep replacing, some kayaks and such, and a lot of it's just for more labor, and so we can keep our class sizes down and experiences small.
Very good. Any other questions at all? If not, thank you very much. Congratulations, and thanks for your hard work, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 6, approval of today's agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Dennis makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Kenny seconds. Any discussion? If not, all those, it'll be a roll call vote again. We'll start with, Dennis,
Yes. Aye.
Kim,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
Angie,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Neil,
Aye.
and I also. Okay, it passes. Number 7, consent items. Looking for one motion on the consent items to approve that as written.
I'll move to approve the consent item.
Kim makes a motion, a second,
Second.
and Angie makes a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, again, we'll do roll call. Let's start with Neil this time.
Aye.
Kim,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Jill,
Nay.
Angie,
Aye.
and Kenny,
Aye.
and I for myself. 6-1, the consent will pass. Number 8, reports. Dr. Funk.
Good evening. So a couple things tonight. First, I'll talk COVID-19. Just for public consumption, I think the board is aware of this already, but as we move forward here, as the year ends, just a reminder to everybody that secondary students are going to be receiving a pass or no credit option. It will not be pass-fail. It'll be pass, no credit. If they receive a no credit, they will have the opportunity to make this up in credit recovery. So it will the pandemic experience of this spring will not negatively impact their GPA if they do not pass the class. If students need a letter grade for any reason, such as if we're in a concurrent enrollment class with Riverland, or a college requires a letter grade, we can certainly convert it to a letter grade at a later date. These rules are consistent with what the Department of Education is recommending and how we handle the pandemic at the secondary level. Elementary students are going to continue with their traditional grading practice of 1, 2, 3, 4 as far as what they've been receiving within the elementary. MDE has changed its mind. About 2 weeks ago, they said there was not going to be any sort of in-person learning for the summer. Last week, they said, now we're going to let you do a hybrid format. So the rules we will have to follow if we go with the hybrid format will be 9 students to 1 teacher. So we can't have any more than 10 in a class at a time. So how we're looking at handling that is we'll have a teacher who teaches students on day A in the morning and day B in the morning, different set of students each morning. And then in the afternoon, the teacher will check day B's work virtually, and then on the next day, they'll have B students in the morning, and then they'll check day A students' work virtually in the afternoon. This way, we will be able to have an 18-to-1 ratio, which is really what we need if we're going to be running targeted services. And so we had a meeting with the elementary administrators this morning and district office folks, and we are surveying the families right now to see the level of interest within targeted services, and then we're surveying staff to see the level of interest in teaching. We're going to do an abbreviated format. It'll be about 4 weeks, and it'll run mid-June to July 9th. Summer meals will continue to be distributed at Halverson and Hawthorne for the months of June and July, and it'll be different. We're not going to have the buses set up. People will actually have to come to the schools to pick up the food. This is consistent with how we've done summer meals in the past. Next slide. The last day for students is this Thursday. It's also the last day of school for our school-age child care. We've been working with the YMCA, and information went home to families today of essential workers that the Y will be able to pick up the child care for the essential workers in the summer. Whether we were going to continue to do it or the Y was going to do it, the Department of Education was recommending, to this point it was free. They were recommending that we have a fee moving forward, and I think the fee will be, I think the governor has allocated that people can charge up to $40 a day, I think, and I think the Y is working on something underneath that amount. So thank you, Dennis, for your work on that, and I think the families of our essential workers will appreciate that. We're still looking at different options for graduation on the 24th of July. A lot of districts that aren't waiting are doing a variety of different things, and we'll have a better idea in mid-June, we think, on what the state is going to allow. Interesting, a bill was in the legislature yesterday to allow school districts to graduate however they wanted, and that bill did not pass. The governor has indicated that he will make a determination in mid-June as far as what the format will look like for the fall. Based upon what they're telling us for summer school, at this point I'm anticipating some sort of a hybrid approach to what kind of like we're looking at. We'll have kids part of the day for some days of the week, and then we'll have an online component. And we have an administrator retreat next week where we will be talking through those various options as far as planning for the fall. We anticipate temperature checks for everybody will be mandatory as part of the process. And last week I had a chance to go over to Select Foods and look and see what they're using for checking people's temperature on a large scale basis. So see if you can make that bigger, Ashley, so that they can. There you go. So this is entering a building, and this is a system that they have in place. And we'll run through it a couple times, but you can see the green faces. If the faces are green, their temperature is good. If the faces are not green, and you can see on the right-hand side, they have all the faces being scanned and telling you what the temperature levels are. They can do that with a thermal camera. And so if you look one more time, look to the right of the screen, you're going to see a lady with a coffee cup in her hand right there. She turns red, and she's just testing the camera to make sure that it works. So a system like this costs somewhere in the realm of $20,000. We've been coordinating with the county for a FEMA grant that would pay for up to 3/4 of this. So that'd be $20 a system, so you would have one per building. So this is one of the methods we are looking at to be able to ensure as much as we can, at least on a temperature check. And the temperature check's not valid for everybody, but at least it provides some peace of mind. So that is something that the district is exploring this summer as we prepare for school next fall. Questions on any of that before I get into the legislative update?
Go ahead, Kim.
I just have a question for you, Mike. I've had a few people contact me, and I wanted to wait till after today's meeting to see if there was an answer for this. Students were given a message that they need to turn in Chromebooks at the high school on Wednesday, the 20th.
Seniors can,
Okay, so it's just...
just seniors.
Okay.
Yep.
So is it the intent, so like, if a senior doesn't have a Chromebook to check attendance for, because they'll still need to check in for attendance, if they don't have a device, I mean, will they, how does that work?
I think we'll probably use Wednesdays. A lot, the MDE's really gone wide open on as far as attendance. If they don't have it for Thursday, we're not worried about it.
Okay.
Good question. Jill?
Jim?
Okay, I have a couple of questions. First, as far as the pass and no credit, you had mentioned that it was a reminder. A parent had mentioned that to me, and I hadn't seen it. Had I missed it? I know I'm not the only one who hadn't seen it. Had we seen that?
I'm quite sure it was put in an update by Mary Jo a few weeks ago. So
Okay.
I would go back and look at those.
Okay, and as far as summer meals, who will be served for those? Is it the same, and maybe you mentioned this and I might have missed it, but is it the same group of age 1 through 18, or is it a different?
Age 1 through 18 in the county.
Okay, and so they can just come to the school to pick it up then?
Correct.
Okay, and then the temperature system, the 20,000, is that to have that system in every district building?
We don't know yet. We're exploring. We're in the initial exploration stages of this. There's different systems out there available. There's handheld thermometers out there that you can scan foreheads. So I thought that was a really unique one that we saw. So that's why I chose that one. But we've looked at others that are a lot more inexpensive, between $3,000 and $5,000, where individuals walk up to a box and then it's a quick scan of 3 or 4 seconds. But when you're running hundreds of people through it, it's not as efficient.
And are you also looking at the athletic complex for this?
We are not at this time, no.
Okay, thank you.
You might be able to borrow one, I suppose, if it got to that during contest from one of the buildings, or is it a statutory type,
It's harder to use outdoors because you've got sunlight can interfere with it, and so
Okay.
the systems we're looking at are in an indoor type
Right.
situation.
Okay. Okay,
So back to the, excuse me.
Yeah.
To the temperature scanner thing. Seems like an intriguing idea, but what happens to those that don't pass the test?
Then you go through a screening process.
Then they go through,
Yep.
and we have facilities or accommodations for that too?
We would set something aside where they would be screened and followed up with questions and
Okay.
go from there.
And there will be somebody then at the door whose responsibility it will be to,
Somebody would have to monitor the machine, the computer, while they're coming in.
and herd them into a different gate?
Right.
Okay.
Here's Gotcha. Dennis?
On the temperature taking as well, will that be anybody entering the building then? So a parent comes in, or?
Yes.
Just wondering, probably getting too detailed right now, but looking ahead, if there's events at the school, there's an athletic event, and the government will probably determine part of that, but it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to see how it's all gonna work, and probably better to start looking now than later.
Yes, and really the intent on it right now is for staff and students and during the school day, and I suppose visitors during the day. If we're getting to the point where we're having large-scale athletic events, I'm not sure how much we're going to need it. But that's my point. That's my thought at this point.
Okay, go ahead, get a little bit more.
Yep, so now I've got a quick, it'll be real quick because nothing's happened, but I'll just give you where things are at. Tobacco 21, that's a great news story. It's passed both the House and the Senate, and I haven't seen if the governor signed it yet, but I'm sure he will. So that's probably the best news for K-12 education that's come out of the legislature this year. So House File 4415 passed the House last night. It has not done, nothing's happened with it in the Senate, so it's not moving forward at this point. But key provisions, it allows the MDE to waive any requirements related to earning credit, credits for achievement in grade, graduation, or testing. So if we needed to, we could apply for a waiver for the MDE. But at this point, this year, I don't see that as an issue. If we continue moving forward with the pandemic, that may be something we take a look at. The next point, school aid, we're being held harmless, so we're not going to be impacted by, our school aid is not being impacted by the pandemic. Next slide. And then I think we may have mentioned this already, but we are now able to transfer funds in between some categoricals that providing us more flexibility. But again, none of this is law yet because the House has not passed theirs. But bottom line for our school district is we have paid all of our contracted employees that we are required to throughout this entire pandemic period. So I think that's good for our community, and it's good for the employees of our district. Next slide. And then we will be receiving some federal assistance through the Department of Education. We are waiting on the amount to be distributed. I know the governor has spoken saying, $90-some million will be distributed throughout the state. We have not seen what from the Department of Education, what that will look like yet. We've seen some estimates, but nothing official from the Department of Ed. I hope to have more for you in June here on legislative update. I know they're talking about a special session in June, so hopefully there'll be more information for education at that point. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. School board members' reports. Let's start with Jill.
Thank you. Well, the AL Grad Banner Project has taken off, and 152 senior photos, banners, are now on Broadway, and there are more coming in the next few weeks, so that's an exciting thing to have happen during this time. Also, for the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Other Drugs group under the Family Services Collaborative, we're looking at some ways to spend some grant dollars that would have been spent at the fair, in a fair booth, but that won't be happening this year. So one of the things we're looking at is our idea of putting positive message murals on different walls around the city, and having a contest for young artists ages 12 through 18 to submit art concepts, and they will win a prize, and then an adult artist would be commissioned to oversee each project, and the young people who would want to volunteer for that would be the painters. So that's just in the beginning stages, so hopefully that will be something that we can also see happen this summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Angie?
I don't think I have anything to report.
Okay, thank you. Kim? Kim, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was
That's okay.
unmuting my mic. So I attended the MSBA consideration for the 2020 graduation discussion. That was a virtual meeting. It was held last Thursday, the 14th. It's recorded, so if you can go out into MSBA and watch it if you'd like. It was I thought it was really well done, but of course it provoked. There was probably there were hundreds of people on it, but it provoked a lot of questions, and they were very customized to school districts. I think back to how fortunate I think we are that we decided to postpone and had a plan because people they're anxious. So and understandably so. So the basis of are the kind of the three areas that they talked about were legal liability, public health, and then equity around your graduation ceremonies. And so I think I guess I didn't put my mind through the legal liability piece, and so that was good for me to hear. And just really how important it is, and I think we saw this in the e-clippings too, how important it is that we continue conversation with our lawyer as well as keeping on top of MDE and MDH. So so it was good, and I highly recommend watching that if you get a chance. The last thing I wanted to say was I just really think we as a district are blessed to have such an amazing community that supports us with the banners like Jill talked about. If you see, I think there's some billboards that businesses have sponsored as well. There's signage in windows. There's shout outs on social media. Community members have reached out to just really help with seniors and with the school. I thought the cap and gown pickup was the coolest thing. I got the opportunity. My daughter asked me to go with her, which I was like, okay, I'll take a break from work and to see teachers in their lawn chairs and the tiger and to see how important it was to see those students, I think was really special for them. I think the scholarship night, even though it was virtual, was powerful for those students. And I just wanted to take the time to thank everybody that's doing all the extra stuff to plan, and all the teachers, the staff, and administration. And then lastly, today was Mr. Haney's last lecture. And the message, my daughter wanted me to hear the message from him, and it was pretty powerful. And the difference those students made in his life, and how he is proud to have known them and have to deal with what they're dealing with. So I think our teaching staff and all of our support staff and the administration, that doesn't just happen. That's because it's a strong culture. So thanks to everybody for that.
Thank you, Kim. Dennis?
No meetings, pretty well consistent with everybody. It sounds like some of them hopefully will get started here in June again, so we're looking forward to that. Kudos to everybody that helped on the Tobacco 21. I know Vitality Center and Blue Zones, that was a big project, so it's good to see that. Kudos on the grad banners. I know that took a lot of time and effort, so thank you for getting that done. More so just for the seniors, you guys have been so resilient. Kudos. Not a fun way to end, but cherish the memories you have, and moving forward, I think good things will happen. Tough time to go through, but hopefully we'll be able to bring some closure in July. But for all your efforts and everything they've done, and that goes back to the school district as well, the teachers and everybody who's worked with them. So hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we just got to keep plugging ahead.
Thank you. Kenny?
I think everyone has said it pretty well. Of course, there's been no meetings, but great job with the seniors to make them feel somewhat special. I hope they feel special because they are, and they're going to be our leaders in the future. And so great job, everyone.
Thank you. Neil?
Yeah, regarding seniors, it's been spoken many times lately that oftentimes seniors and graduates in general have no recollection whatsoever of their commencement. And I sort of suspect that this class might be an exception. If the only good thing I can say about this arrangement is that it's memorable, so it's different. The Education Foundation has been communicating via email. And I think pretty much the consensus is so far that the banquets that were scheduled for this summer have been canceled. That would include the Hall of Fame athletic banquet and the Pathways to Success, which involves distinguished educators and distinguished alumni. The one function that is still going ahead full chisel is the teacher grant program. We've received a number of applications already via the Education Foundation's email account, and we're still waiting for more, so that's wide open. So I would encourage any educator out there who hasn't applied and is interested in that grant to check out the Education Foundation website, get an application form, and get that submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Just to add to the seniors, it is fun. Those banners look really great downtown and around town, and looking forward to seeing more of them. And thanks for the recommendations on postponing the graduation. I think I think I'm still open for something very special for the kids, and we'll see how many times they change their minds. Other than that, I was just in on the football coach interviews last Friday, and I'll say we had a nice slate of candidates. Jill.
Could I just make a request? Can we move the camera just a little bit to the right so we can see everybody at the table? Can it go a little bit more? Thank you.
Thank you. And senior to be, Aaron, with a nice haircut. Do you have anything special today?
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, like everybody else said, first of all, I hope my audio is working better this time than it was last time. I realized there were a few problems there. But as for the Albert Lee graduation banners, those are looking really nice. I myself drove up and down Broadway today just to take a look at them. And the only info I have to relay to the board from students at the high school, juniors and seniors, some juniors who have seniors as siblings, is that they hope the graduation is allowed to continue as planned by the school board, which we voted on unanimously. So we'll be looking forward to that information and confirmation on what we'll be able to do. And then as it pertains to Tobacco 21, it's my personal opinion, being in the high school, seeing the drug use that takes place there, I hope Tobacco 21 helps, but I don't think it will for a lot of people that are currently using drugs in the high school. I don't see it keeping a lot of the students that are currently using from still getting those drugs. So like I said, I hope it helps. I'm just a little skeptical there, but that's all I have, so thanks.
Thank you, Aaron. And there's no teacher rep here tonight, so we'll move on to number 9, safe and healthy schools, nothing there. 10, curriculum and instruction, we don't have anything. 11 comes to effective and efficient operations. And Jennifer,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. So we hired Ellers and there, that's better. So we ran a banking RFP the last couple of months. We hired Ellers to run that as an independent firm. We had 4 respondents, 3 of which were very competitive when you look at simply the dollar amount monthly. So competitive, in fact, that they were really almost equal. One of the reasons that we decided to move forward with an RFP is we are currently with the U.S. Bank. They, although are a very large, obviously nationally known bank, we have found that their business services, website, online portal, and customer service was not up to the expectation that we would like to see when we're banking. And so for that reason, we really looked at the other 2 respondents that were competitive, which were Farmers and CCF. And they were extremely close. They both presented a very nice RFP, answered all of the questions. And so really it just came down to some very detailed items that, in my opinion, brought CCF to the top. A couple of those were CCF did offer for balances over $1 million, and over the last 6 months, we have an average balance of about $1.2 million, that we would have an enhanced interest rate for that. And that actually brought the interest rate higher than what Farmers was offering, 40 basis points. They are a larger asset bank, $1.2 billion as opposed to $170 million. And they have school district experience that they listed. And so, and also Freeborn County recently made the move to CCF Bank. Again, two very competitive bids. You know, I think we would be, you know, well served with either one, but because we really had to dig deep into the RFP, I felt for those reasons that I was comfortable recommending that we make the move to CCF.
Any discussion? What? Take that back. We gotta make a motion, don't we? Okay, I guess I'll look for a motion first to go with our recommendation of naming CCF Bank as our main banking institution. Is that right?
For operating funds.
For operating
yes.
funds,
Yes,
yes,
for
correct. Thank
operating
you.
funds.
Yep.
So moved.
Neil makes a motion. Any seconds?
Second.
And Jill seconds the motion. Discussion.
So, how big a deal is it to move from one bank to another?
You know, it's actually not that big of a deal, and especially because, honestly, we've been writing relatively few checks the last couple of months as compared to other years, just because we haven't made near as many purchases. So, you know, we'll have to keep money available in U.S. Bank to cover any checks that haven't cleared. We'll have to set up the new accounts. You'll see some things come that we'll need signatures for. The way it works now is our state funds go directly to PMA, and then we transfer money from there to our operating account. So we don't need to change where some of our big revenues land, but we will have to change some items where we have transfers going out, transfers coming in, but it's not a hugely onerous. I really think for the what looks like having a real local presence, some people locally that we can go to, and the online banking portal just being so superior. The whole staff in the business office was eager to conduct this RFP with the idea that we would potentially move to someone else.
Dennis?
Just a curiosity question. Looking at it, I mean, they all came in so similar. My only question would be is you have one bank that's a 5-star rating and then another one that's a 3-star. Does that factor in, or is there anything we need to worry about?
You know, no, I don't. I asked the same question of Ellers, and they said no, that anything, you know, three and above is very, very strong. They had no concerns about that. That was obviously something that I noticed also. But they felt, and given CCF's experience, they did not feel that that was a factor.
So the main difference really is the monthly earning interest rate?
You know, it's really the potential interest rate. Now, right now, interest rates aren't great anywhere, but because we do have a larger balance on average over $1 million, that we would get that higher interest rate from CCF, and it's based on the MAGIC fund, which is a Minnesota governmental fund, and that was something that so it's very prescriptive what our interest rate will be. And again, they were a larger bank, larger assets, and that they do have some experience with school districts for what that's worth.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Does that magic rate change like quarterly?
It changes
annually?
like weekly.
It does.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And so, you know, the interest rate then is prescribed by that with CCF, which gives us, I think, for me, it gives me a little more peace of mind of how are they adjusting their interest rate, and we know exactly how it's adjusted.
Anything else? Any other questions? If not, we'll do a vote. We'll start with Dennis.
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
And I for myself. Thank you. Motion passes. 11.2, naming CCF, U.S. Bank, Home Federal Savings, Associated Bank and Trust, Minnesota Bank and Trust as depositories for school district funds. Jennifer?
So this is really just adding CCF to the list that you approved back in January. Since part of the year, U.S. Bank will have received some of our funds. We wanted to keep them on for now. So this is adding CCF to the list.
Okay, looking for a motion to add CCF to our list of depositories. Kenny?
So move.
Any second? Kim? Seconds? Any discussion? If not, roll call vote. Kim? Angie?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
And I for myself. Passes 7-0. 11.3, renewal of food service management contract with Chartwells. Jennifer?
Yeah, so Doyle is here and is going to come up and give you he had a presentation, but we can't get it to load. But he's going to talk to you a little bit about this past year. So we are seeking the 4th renewal, which will be our final renewal before we have to go out for bid again. I do want to share, I've worked with Doyle now for a year. I am so impressed with what Chartwell and especially, frankly, with what Doyle and his team bring. They are just very responsive. He's going to talk a little bit about our meal distribution program. I think that's just an excellent example how they have gone really above and beyond even what I see other school districts doing. So, Doyle, you want to talk a little bit about
Go ahead,
the
Doyle.
year?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. I do apologize, my PowerPoint, I worked on it all day yesterday and it didn't end up working, but, so I'll run through my slides and if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. So since this year was such an unusual year, I kind of had to, I had to compare numbers from February to February because going forward, we had 1 week in March and then we went into the COVID feeding. With our budgeted meals that we had up to the end of February, we're running right on track. We're a little bit behind in paid students at the high school and free and reduced at Lakeview and Sibley. And I think some of that may be from moving the students around, and we didn't catch those students to let them know that, if they moved from Halverson or Hawthorne, everything was, they got their meals. And I'm not sure that, we missed those students in there, and we're gonna correct that next school year. So, but everything was right on track right up to the end of February. I did a slide for the participation of free and reduced for elementary and secondary. And we went up in every category except for one, and that was reduced secondary. And it dropped like 4%, so that's something I need to look at too. Free actually went up, I think 1% or 2%, and the reduced dropped like 3.5%, almost 4%. So, but the rest of them all tracked up a little. The volume allowances, I know that's important to everybody. By the end of February, we were tracking right at an 1819, we were at the end of February, we're at 105,000. At the end of February in 20, we were at 102,000. So that's a cost savings of like 25 cents per student or per meal for that we give back to the district. Some of the stuff that we did around the buildings this year, we started a new program. It's called Mood Boost. We actually went to some of the second grade classes in every one of the elementaries and talked about how different foods put you in different moods and what makes you strong and what makes you smart. And we took samples in for them and gave them little gift bags, and that was a big hit this year. We continued to do our monthly table testings. Each month, every elementary had one. We did one per semester at the secondary schools. Always a big hit, because we always introduce something new, and then we put it on the menu the next month. If they don't like it, I take it back off. If they like it, I leave it on. So I mean, it's just try to get them to try something new. We also celebrated like National Cookie Day and any food-related days that is on the national calendar that we try to promote to engage the students. We also did the Dr. Seuss events at Hawthorne and Halverson, where we go in and feed the whole school green eggs and ham, and they all come through. At Halverson this year, I'm trying to think of the dates. I think right at the beginning of December, we switched our universal free program from breakfast in the classroom to they come to the cafeteria. So all the K2 students, instead of going to the playground, would come straight in to eat. By the time they got done, then the older students would come through, walk through, and go to their classrooms and eat. I think it was a big hit. We started putting more hot meals in there, and so I think it was appreciated. And at the same time, we started our first food recovery program. Of course, the first one's always a learning experience, so it worked out well because the stuff that we had left over for breakfast, the milks, the fresh fruits, the breakfast items, if they didn't want them, they walked through and dropped them in bins. And then at lunch, they were available to the students. At one point, just before Christmas break, we were trying to figure out where we were going to donate the food. There was so much of it. And then it kind of evened back out after Christmas break. We were going to start the other schools right after Christmas break, but then I got really involved in the opening of the child care center, which was just a ton of work through MDE and trying to figure out all the new rules and regulations and stuff like that. So we were going to do the rest of the schools after spring break. Of course, I'll have to do it the beginning of next school year now. The COVID-19 community feeding that we've been working on right now from March 18th through May 21st. We did it with a blend of my district associates and Chartwell's associates. There were 16 of us. As you may or may not know, we were feeding at 13 sites. That means the buses would all show up to middle school. We'd load them up. They'd go out to their sites. They'd feed. They'd come back. We'd unload it and get ready for the next day. I'm pretty sure by the end of this week we're going to be at 91,000 meals that we put out at Southwest Middle School during this time. So, yeah, it's crazy, but we did it. We are going to do summer feeding in Halverson Hawthorne. I know it was mentioned earlier. We're still waiting on some rulings from MDE, you know, because they gave us a waiver for the community, for the COVID feeding. They gave us a waiver that the student didn't have to be present. So a parent could come up and say, hey, I have 3 students back at the house. I need meals for 3 students. We're kind of waiting on that. Under normal circumstances, the child from 1 to 18 has to be present to get a meal. So we're seeing if they're going to have a waiver for that. We're also looking into maybe working with some other agencies here in town to maybe deliver meals, if depending on the way MDE rules through the Park and Recreations Department. So that way we'd reach out a little bit further. We are going to have a non-contact, socially distancing picnic on Wednesday in appreciation for everybody that, you know, our 13 bus drivers, our 16 or 17 paras, our 5 or 6 custodians, and the food service staff. Jennifer and I are hosting it. So if any of you would like to come by Wednesday on the backside of Southwest from 12 to 1:15, we're going to give them to-go cartons and, you know, just give them a nice little meal to say thank you. That was a lot of work, especially for them, you know, driving and handing the meals out and stuff like that. That's all I have. Any questions?
I know I had the opportunity, and I even caught you at one of the buses. I wanted to make sure I could go see what was going on. It's amazing to talk to the drivers and the assistants on there, just the people. And this was probably, I don't know, maybe a month into it, as the process was getting a little bit more ingrained in people, but still just the number of people that they felt like they were helping with this program.
Once we got past the first couple of weeks, we had the ones that wanted to be there to help. So it really helped with the students, and it helped with just everything.
I think after all was said and done, the bus drivers and the paras who got to be out in the community, they got as much out of it as our community members did. They really appreciated being able to provide this service, and they got to know many days. It was the same people day after day. Got to know a lot of our families. They were the face of the district, you know, really for these last few weeks. So much deserved thank you to them and the food service staff.
I had rave reviews from parents, grandparents who really enjoyed watching children get in line to pick up their meals from the buses. And this individual that complimented is not in the habit of giving compliments, so it was interesting to hear.
Great.
Good.
Any other questions? And from your proposal then, do you want to cover anything there, or you said nothing has changed, right?
Nothing's changed. So in the original contract, it set out the terms for renewals, and so this renewal abides by that. And again, this is the 4th of 4 potential renewals.
Okay. Anybody, any other questions? If not, I look for a motion to approve the 4th year with Chartwell renewal.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
All right. Ashley, you got someone, right? All right. Any other discussion at all? If not, roll call vote, and I'll start with Kim. Aye. Angie?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Kenny? I read your lips. Dennis?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Aye.
Thanks, Kenny. And I for myself, 7-0 for the renewal. Thank you, Doyle.
Thank you.
And let us know how that recovery keeps going. I like that. Thanks. Okay, 11.4, Kathy, temporary licensed teachers, and this is an action item.
Good evening. So in front of you is a resolution for the non-renewal of 3 licensed teachers. These are teachers who we hired who have Tier 3 and Tier 4 licenses, but they are not licensed in the content area and field where we placed them this year. Their positions were posted for over 60 days. So these employees all knew that these were one-year positions. We were unable to hire in the content area license for those original postings, and so we non-renew at this point to seek fully licensed teachers in those positions. They would be posted for a minimum of 60 days moving forward before we could hire an out-of-field permission again. So prior to COVID, pre-COVID, PELSB was very clear with school districts that you need to post these for 60 days in an attempt to get fully licensed teachers. So at this point, I request the board consider termination or non-renewal of these 3 teachers.
Okay, being an action item, I would look for a motion to non-renew the 3 temporarily licensed teachers in our board packet.
So moved.
Angie makes a motion. Any seconds?
Second.
And Kenny for a second. Any discussion?
So Kathy, we're required to do this?
So go ahead, do you want to go ahead?
It is based upon legal advice. Based on legal advice, they're asking, we're doing this, yep. Their contracts all expire June 30th, but based upon legal advice, they said, bring it forward to the board for a motion. So that's what we're doing here.
And in compliance, I suppose, with the 60-day notice? Is that why, or?
Well, this also provides us more of a timeline because now we're letting them know now.
Right.
And then now
Okay.
we'll post.
Okay.
Anytime you hire a teacher who is not fully licensed and you're going to put them in an out-of-field permission, which used to be called variances, we have to prove that we have posted that job for 60 days, and now we're going to hire somebody who isn't fully licensed, so we're getting this out-of-field permission. So, yes. Does that help?
And are they typically always one-year appointments or whatever we call them now?
Yes,
Not,
they retire, the out-of-field permission expires at the end of the school year.
okay. Dennis?
Will this be a situation where we post it again, nothing gets hired, potentially these individuals would come back again?
Yeah, well, we would attempt again to hire somebody who best fits the needs, even if they weren't fully licensed.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, if not, I'll be looking, we'll do a roll call vote. Neil?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Kim? Dennis?
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
And I for myself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. That is it for tonight. We will do our best to have a study session if we can get it done, hopefully in person. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.